do your thing. But
what up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is Agree to Disagree. We're going to talk ranking Eagles free agent priorities and what's next for Embiid and the Sixers. Yay!
Uncle Sweeps, Nick Delgado, the legendary Brian Wilson, and the fucking man himself, Tom Arnone. These three guys from Jersey bringing you real talk with no agenda. You don't like them? Tough shit. It's their show, and they're going to say whatever the hell they goddamn want.
Welcome in, everybody. This is Agree to Disagree, only on A2D Radio. Every Sunday, we're brought to you by our doc, Make Him Yours. That Dr. Paul Vidal. Specialized Physical Therapy, location in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. As always, no Brian Wilson. We're not sure where Greg Milwakovic is. That's Uncle Sweeps.
Two-man crew, buddy. Color guy, and a play-by-play guy. Two special individuals here coming at you, boys.
And we're going to give you Crumb of the Week at the end of the show. Phillies Spring Training check-in. We'll jump down to the Grapefruit League for a few minutes, ranking the Eagles' free agent priorities, because there's a good amount of them on this roster, at least 4 that are big names, and there's even a couple other little pieces out there too. What's next for Embiid and the Sixers? Ties right into our poll question. Joel Embiid has played his final game for the Philadelphia 76ers. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts. We're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe. Most importantly, follow and join the conversation. Let's go. Join it. I think it depends. Mm-hmm. I think it depends on like what kind of pick they get.
Yeah, I'm okay with you answering like that. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a Switzerland answer. Go ahead.
I'm gonna land on one of the two.
Sure.
But like my first initial thought is thinking of it business wise, how they can sell tickets. Right, and everything they want to do organizationally, they don't want to go trade their biggest ticket guy, regardless yet. But if they land in the top 3 and they get a marketable player that they feel like they can market, etc., whatever, maybe then that's a situation where they'll move them. But the bigger thing is for what, and who's going to be willing to play that game with the Sixers? There's so many question marks here. Like I'm going to disagree that he's played his final game here, because I used to say like, well, there's always somebody that will take him. But when you don't know what the final result, either if it's going to be surgery, rehab, you don't know if he's ever going to be himself again. Obviously, there's some analysts saying that he'll never return to his MVP self. Period. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But nobody knows yet. That's the crazy part. So who's going to take a chance on that organizationally? I guess there's always a desperate one. But right now, I'm going to say disagree. I'm gonna disagree. He's played his final game here, unless he's just not healthy and never plays another game, right? But in terms of knowing Joel, he's going to try to play another game at some point, and if it swells again at some point of his life and becomes a problem, then he'll go from there. But I don't think they have the balls to trade him, and 2, I don't know what they get for him. So unless they're blown away by something, I don't know if they do it. So I'll disagree. Unless they get that top pick, you get pick 1 or 2 of the draft, and you're getting a guy that you can absolutely market to go alongside Maxey, then I can see it more and more. But I'm more seeing, I just don't know who takes them, who wants them, and what you're getting back.
That's the biggest thing. I think you hit it on the head there, buddy. I mean, that's a good opening to the show by you. But that's the biggest thing, because you are right about the ticket sales and stuff, but when a guy doesn't play, then that's where everybody is soured. You know what I mean? Like, you were his biggest supporter. That was your son. You know what I mean? So for you to you still got a foot in the boat. Like, I'm completely out. You know what I mean? I never soured on a guy so much. I never soured on a guy in less than a year so fast. It was just crazy to me. Drama. Like, guys get hurt man. We get that. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I want him gone. It's time to go. It's been time to go for a year.
We know
time to go for a year. So I want him gone.
Pro sports is physical. We understand that, but it's just the whole baggage, the whole bullshit that came with it. The whole, go doing the Olympics, and then if you knew you were banged up, it was just a lot of bad decisions from him and everybody involved. And then who's not telling the truth. It was, injury gate, and I felt like we were lied to as fans. Again, of course. So it's just that's the the biggest thing from our end. Just the not just the slop product, just how everything unfolded for us. You know what I mean? Like, if we were losing games, listen, we don't understand slow starts, and we were hoping once he got healthy, we would recover from that, and no big deal. But obviously, we never did, so we should be in tank mode. And then we go and win last night. So they're just in typical Sixers fashion. They're doing everything ass backwards, which is not surprising. So I hear you on all those good points. And like I said, I think the biggest thing is who will take them. And usually in these big trades, the person that's sending out the monster contract has to eat most of it. That's how a lot of times that people accept it. They say, "Hey, yeah, we'll do it." You're eating most of it, or something along those lines. They work out the particulars, and that you see that a lot in these, when big time contracts get moved. So yeah, we'll have to see how he comes back. I don't definitely hasn't played his last basketball game, but I don't know what kind of form he's coming back to. So I would probably agree with you and disagree that he's playing his final game for the Sixers. I know we're all fed up, and we definitely we definitely want to see that chapter closed.
Yeah.
If it was up to us, we would we would close the chapter. Try to get
last year.
Yeah. Well, I know exactly. If we were Morey, we would have got five or six guys and a first rounder, and we would have been, and we would have been rolling. So that didn't happen, and here we are. So, but I think you were right about. There's always somebody that's willing to think they can. I don't want to say fix somebody, because his problem is his body. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's got a mental block, he's got a mental block. We can't get past the second round, so he's got the stink of being a loser. All right, but that has nothing to do with other people can fix. It's he might not be he's not a carrier. He hasn't been a carrier here. So is that because of the injuries? Is that because he's a meow meow cat? I don't know. You know what I mean? We'll never know. I think we have a pretty good idea because we watched it. We've seen now with those second round exits. We had the Ben years too, so we know Ben sat when he peed. So we thought, okay, we get over that, and we thought, okay, and then it's really this. It's the same every year. It's this. That's the definition of insanity. Every year we have high hopes, and we always say, oh, we know how this book ends. We read the same book every year. And he's the author. So it's just, like I said, I think we're all tired of it, man. We're all tired of it. I hear you, Don, but I not when he's battered. Bridges is younger and healthy. You know what I mean? But before this latest thing, that's what we were calling for. Last year we called that's I don't know about five first rounds. We were saying more like a Herschel Walker. Hey, give us 3 studs, 3 really good NBA players, and 3 first, and we'll drive them anywhere.
We saw enough after last postseason to say, okay, we've done this. We've held out hope. We've tried this game. It's not working. Right? It's not working. We all knew it. Okay. And we all knew it, and they did nothing about it this offseason, right? They wanted to go out and star hunt. That's what Darryl wanted to do. And he went and overpaid for Paul George and thought he could team these guys up with Maxey and be on to something. Now, I'm not going to say he wouldn't be on to something, all things being considered and all 3 guys being healthy, right? And sort of what he brought around them, I thought were good moves. I thought Caleb Martin was a good pickup if healthy. I thought there were some good pickups he had for this bench. It looked the part. I thought Yabu was a good addition. They had some good additions if all these guys were healthy. But you're playing Russian roulette, Darryl, with guys who are never healthy. That's the problem. So when you're going all in here and you're spending a lot of money on guys like you did with Joel Embiid and you did with Paul George, you are literally playing Russian roulette with the organization, and that's where we're at. And the gun went off. That's what happened. The gun just went off. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Night. Guns off, and there's nothing they can do. And maybe there's somebody they can trade for, right, or trade them for. But in reality, I don't know how that sweeps. I don't know how that happens. I just don't know. I don't know the team unless like the medical reports come back like, hey, this guy, he's in everything's great with the knee, and they start getting great reports back, and
yeah, the value
yeah.
goes down. So we just go now we're selling low. We had a chance to sell high if they listen to us. So now we have to sell low. We're the position where people, other teams, when the phone, if somebody answers the phone, that's like you said, you're worried about, you're saying if can we find a dance partner? If somebody answers the phone, they're going to say, hey, listen, we got you by the balls. Like we know this marriage didn't work, so let's see if we can squeeze them and let's see where they're at, negotiation wise. But that's where we're over the barrel right now. So we got to really hope. We got to hope that he comes back. We got to hope that he comes back. That he gets it cleaned out and he's healthy enough to. I don't want to say be a shadow of what he was before. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't do us any good either. You know what I mean? Like with that contract, you got to be a star. You know what I mean? Like you don't bring any other star qualities. He's not a winner. He's not a good leader. I don't think he's a good locker room guy. He's not a bad locker room guy. Just you don't hear like, oh yeah, Joe's such a great leader. He really takes the young guys under his. I don't know. Maybe he is. I don't know. You don't hear it. So there's no intangibles that he's bringing. Other than being a generational
awesome.
talent.
Yeah, awesome
generational talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome and the big asterisk when healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I still think if they get it cleaned out and he doesn't have pain, the dude's a problem. I mean, he's not 35. So I don't know, he's big and it's been a chronic problem. But I still think if you clean it out and they get it right, if he is 90% of what he was, that's a problem. That's still a damn good player. So, but I'm not going to hold out my hope on Joel Embiid ever being healthy again. Right. I'm not going to go into a season and say, well, if those days are over. Those days have been long gone. Right. Now what we're doing is trying to figure out how we restart this franchise, and anything we get out of that guy is house money. Right. And how can you sort of restart it? Right. And the only way is, the draft sim I got going on here, you get into that top 3. Right, or you just get into the top 6, but I mean, Greg, you can answer.
And listen, you can also find. And also, he's got some soul searching to do too. You know what I mean? Like he's got to change his game too. You know what I mean? For health reasons, and he's got to change who he is. That's if he wants to, maintain too. Like he needs it. Like we've been saying forever, you got to get in the block. I know that, and people say like you're just preaching to the choir. He's not going to do it. Well, you got to change your game. Like I know he can still shoot, and he's an elbow. He can hit that elbow jumper with anybody, right? But you got to get in the block, right? And you got to rebound. You know what I mean? There's no reason, and that guy shouldn't have 15 rebounds a game. You know what I'm saying? When healthy, you know what I mean? Like you should have 15 rebounds a game. Right, and get in the block and get your little jumpers, your little elbow jumpers, right? Stop hoisting threes, right, and stop being, I don't know. He should change some things too. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you wonder if this is it, right? You wonder if this is the time to do that in his head, like you said, Sweeps. I agree to the poll. I think he has played his last game. The injury is so massive that it might be that, but also, I mean, we talked about, the ability to be traded now opens up here in March, right? Obviously, the deadline is passed, so it can't be done this season, but the ability to be traded, came and went in March. So once we get to the offseason, it can happen. And so I think he's either traded or he never plays again because of injury. Like this is that bad of an injury that he's done.
Yeah, I doubt he never steps on the court again. Just his mentality. Like he'll try to play, but I mean, I'm not gonna Holiday Inn Express you tonight and say like, oh yeah, well, you don't know, we'll never be healthy. Like I don't know either.
Yeah.
So like,
I wouldn't
that
do that
shit,
either.
right?
I would just
So-
say modern medicine is better than it was a long time ago. That's the
I've
only.
been saying that since he's been drafted.
That's the only devil's advocate. That's the only devil's advocate I would say there.
I've been saying it for. How long has he been here?
And he
I've been
played.
saying it for medicine.
And even though he didn't play a
Holy
lot,
shit.
he's been playing with it. You know what I mean? Or did he hurt it? Did he re-injure it worse? Probably one of those times that he played, or you think it's the same thing that he's just been dealing with?
No, I think it's the same.
Where if it gets cleaned up, then he's feeling good. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it was a whole like reconstructive surgery that he needs to be 100%, and they've been trying to avoid that. But I think at some point you just got to give in. And like you said, I've been saying modern medicine with him for 10 fucking years. You know what I mean? And it doesn't seem like the modern medicine wanted to show up yet.
Not for him,
but it's kept him playing to the point. And he's just too much of a competitor to be like, yeah, that's the last game I'll play. Like he might come out and be a total shell of himself and never be that guy again. But that's a different conversation. You know, if you're saying he's traded, I mean, I would love to have that conversation. For who, for what, why do you think another organization would want to be on a guy that's missed as many games as he played in his career? Like, what makes you think that somebody else is like, I can fix him medically? That's where I don't know.
Yeah, and it might not be that, right? But you look at, just hypothetically, look at Golden State, who we just beat last night, right? Golden State would take a shot because they already have Steph and Draymond, and they can say, hey, they can kind of do what we thought the Sixers were going to do this year and just load management until we get to the playoffs, and then you're in. And then he's a difference maker. But I think there's always there's always going to be somebody that's going to take him.
Oh yeah,
that's going to take a chance.
He's got a ton of money.
I think we're crazy if we think we're getting Mikal Bridges, multiple first back, but I think we can still pull two back. I think we can still pull two.
No. I think
players.
I think Don was just asking us, and last year, prior to
we'll get back more than what Denver or Dallas got back for Luka. I can almost guarantee.
Prior to all this bullshit, we would have. You know what I mean? We would have. That's what.
Well, we could still get that kind of comparable deal. In my head, maybe not like Luka, but like two players and a first, right?
Yeah, I mean, like
the first.
Hypothetically, like Golden State offered you Kuminga, two others, and a first or two first. Are you doing that?
You're taking at this point. You're running.
Yeah,
you're just running. You're saying, "Get me out of the."
And you're giving Kuminga the money that you're saving from Joel.
I mean, I'm not saying that's like what I want to do. I'm just saying at some point you got to just say, "All right, I'm chalking it up. I'm moving on."
Right.
And just give me a young player back that I can just like try to get young here and see what I got. Right. So, I don't know. I mean, you're right. There's always going to be somebody, or there's always going to be a situation where you could maybe do it. But I think it's really going to depend on what doctors say too.
Yeah.
Like if doctors are like, hey, this is a rehab and we can strengthen it and we can get it back to, what it needs to be able to play. That's a different conversation. If they're talking about like recreating ligaments and
3D stuff.
Yeah, we're told reconstructive surgery. I mean, in today's modern medicine, like we're talking about, that's probably a year injury and the guy is starting to play basketball again, maybe a year and a half for him. So do we lose a whole nother year of him? If something like that happens, I don't know how you're trading the guy. So that's what my
that's true.
Like, I don't think this is me personally. I think this is going to come down to that total whatever with these like this total whole repair. It's going to be a total whole repair to be like, hey, Joel, this is the best option you're going to have to get back to 100%. But it's going to take you missing a year, right? And that's where I think we sort of lose out on the ability to trade them.
And that's where I think the Sixers have already started pointing that flag of this being such a bigger injury issue of trying to get rid of the contract. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't even had the surgery yet. They literally just shut him down. And the Sixers are even trying to see what they can do with this, medical exemption for his salary.
They're more looking like that, Greg, if he can never play again.
Sure.
But
and that's before they go in, kind of to your point, right? If they can't trade him because of the injury, well, then is he even going to be able to play?
Well, that's what I do. I do think he's going to be able to play, but then it's I got to be in that room. I don't know the negatives of the surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, it's just to get the goddamn surgery done, but I don't know what the negatives are because obviously this is meniscus and this is in that realm of types of surgeries, right? It's more like the flap and the ligaments and, he's got chronic knee. So what do you do? I mean, I don't know. And modern medicine, the money they got and the doctors they got, I would assume it's a brand new knee. So, I don't know what you can do with a brand new knee. I don't know how good you can get that to 100%. I have no fucking clue when you're a professional athlete, right? So I guess that's some of the hiccups here. But that's going to decide it. That's going to decide it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to, yeah, like you said, can we get lucky with in the lottery and then can we get luckier in the lottery and then can we get younger? You know what I mean? Like you said, it might not be the King's ransom that we could have got a year ago, but something along to Greg's point, something in the Luka idea, in the realm. Yeah, like I'm just looking at and I'm not saying the Pelicans would do it, but like a guy like Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy's awesome to me, man. Like I love that dude. He's young. He's a shooter. He's a wing guy. 6'8". I'm not saying they would do that, but like if Joel's healthy, we give up. Maybe you give up him and McCann, and you get back Murphy and a first or something. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, Don. I mean, I would trade him for Durant. What do you got to lose at this point? You know what I mean? Why? What do you got to lose? What would you have to lose? But I think his contract's up at the end of this year anyway. But
yeah, it is.
But either way, in a situation like that, what do you have to lose? You're getting a guy who can come in and flat out score and still a stud in this league, right? He's a walking bucket as he just gets one. Nope, he missed that one as I said that. And that's probably what he would look like coming here. Probably look like Chris Webber by the time he got here. It was like C-Web. But still, that's the hard part. The hard part's that. The easier part, which is crazy, is how do you get younger and how do you get better? Well, you got to lose. You got to lose here. And
can't win last night.
Part of me feels like they're gonna run a couple off now, just because, which I don't like one bit. But if they do, they do, right? Because at least I got a young guy like Maxey here, right? So if they do, they do. I'm not gonna get caught up into it anymore. You know what I mean? Like they got big decisions to make. They got a lot of stuff to figure out. They should know better. They can't run this roster back as constructed, which is the big three, and think that that's going to be enough to sell this fan base or win, right? I mean, the funny thing is Paul George played his best fourth quarter as a Sixer last night, and now he's on the injury report with a groin tomorrow. So it's like you can't make this shit up here. And they're supposed to tank, and last night they do the opposite too. Like we were talking about, they don't even know how to do it well. They don't know how to do anything the right way. This whole organization is a joke. And then him having to go to the owners because nothing's working for his knee. And he's almost asking the owner for more help here because nothing's working. I mean, it's unbelievable how bad this has got. Question. Can Bob Myers fix the Sixers? I mean, it's a better option than what we have. I'm not saying he's going to get staff and all those things are going to happen, right? But it's a better option than Daryl Morey. I mean, at this point, just go back to Elton Brand.
And like you said, we said a month ago to freaking shut it down. So again, we're behind the 8 ball, as usual. You know what I mean? But the phone, I would be all over the phone. I know we do things, and you throw things in simulators and stuff like that to have fun with it. But we be cooking the lines up. I mean, because I'm spinning, my mind's spinning a mile a minute now that we're talking about it. You know what I mean? Like with the emergence of Keontae George with the Jazz. I call the Jazz. Can I get Marketing and Sexton? All right, and we'll give you Joe and we'll give you TikTok. You know what I mean? I'm fine. I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? Give me 2 guys that play all the time.
Yeah, that's how I look at it too.
Which is funny because Marketing has his own injury history, but he's been better in Utah though.
Yeah.
He has been better in Utah though.
But I just did another sim right? Another salmon that got us the #1 pick.
Let's
So,
go.
you get something like that, that our franchise changes by accident.
Where are we sitting right now? Where do we sit right now?
7.
7th.
But
And realistically, you got to get to the 4 spot to guarantee a top 6.
right now we're 7, but I think we're only a game back of Brooklyn.
Okay.
Well, you're not going to get to that 4.
4 is undoable.
I don't know. That's New Orleans. I mean, how you getting there?
Yeah.
I mean, New Orleans. I guess you can. They have 16 wins, but you got 21. So
Right.
to me, that sounds like a lot for them to get.
Yeah,
to.
it is. Well, we play in New Orleans and at the end of March, so we should lose that game.
I mean, like Toronto and Brooklyn, you still have a chance of them jumping you. Charlotte, no. I mean, they lost 6 in a row too, so they're not trying to
Toronto
win out.
twice coming up.
But it just depends. I mean, dude. I mean, like if Maxi's healthy, which it doesn't look like his hand is, if he's healthy, like I think it's hard for them to essentially tank in a way.
Yeah,
too. So it's weird. Like it's hard. Like they're not weird. Like, can you really tank with a really good player that can give you 30? Yeah. Like it's hard. You mean you can?
You have to shut him down too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you got to find something wrong with him. And I mean, George is easy to find something wrong with, but then you're like, okay, Q, hey Quentin, I'm gonna need you to knock that off too.
Yeah,
right?
chill out, Quentin.
Yeah, we'll give you the 2-3 year deal, buddy. I'm gonna need you to stop with the 40 spots until next year. All right. Even though that was good to see, because I did say I liked him, Greg.
Yeah, no, you did mention that.
I just think he can ball a little bit, not to that level.
Right. Yeah,
he can be a real productive piece, and he can handle the ball well. And we had those problems of that backup guard who can handle the basketball.
Yeah.
All year long. Now, John just pounding the pounding draft talk already. Everybody likes. He likes the whole draft. So confirming John Malmos likes the whole draft tonight on HUD.
There is a lot of D tackle and DN depth in the draft. That is for sure.
Yeah, I mean his knees betrayed him. Betrayed up, really. I mean, it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like I said, you hate to see it, but he also had a window where he showed us possibly who he was. You know what I mean?
And
I'm talking about in the postseason. I'm not talking.
Oh yeah. They both had windows,
you know what I mean?
Organizationally and Joel Embiid. They both had windows to really make it work, and I think that he swung and missed on his windows, and I think they sure as hell did too.
Yeah.
On who they thought that they could team up because they didn't hit the picks early on. You get caught chasing. You hit 2 picks like Brown and Tatum. Hypothetically, you're not chasing for a decade. You're not chasing the second piece. That's what they were chasing. It just so happened Maxey was so young that you almost wish Maxey came 5 years ago. You know what I mean? You almost wish Maxey was here 5 years ago because maybe it's a different outcome in terms of second rounds, right? Maybe that's just a different outcome. But that's a lot of what ifs. But Sweeps is right. He showed us who he is, which is, dude, probably the best, one of the most talented big men I've ever seen on what he can do. Always hurt and small, comes up small. I don't even say he comes up small when you need him. He comes up hurt when you need him.
Yeah, he's never had a real opportunity.
Yeah, he just comes up hurt when you need him. I don't know what else to say. It's not even small because he's awesome. It's just he comes up hurt, and then your best ability is availability. So that makes you not good. That makes you not a star. Like Grant Hill dealt with it when he got into the league, right? Grant Hill was always hurt. Great fucking player, but if you're never on the court, you're not great anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Sadly, it's how it goes.
And if Pussycat dunks the ball against the Hawks, I don't know. Maybe the book changes a little bit. I don't know.
John, the Sixers are toast, right? We know the Sixers are toast, but I'm not going to come on here and pound draft talk out right now, right, as an opening lead when this is a star player in this city and he's out again. And as Sixers fans and basketball fans, which is what I'll always be, I try to figure out a way out. Right? We did it for the Eagles for years and years at different times where we're trying to find a way out, trying to find a way to the finish line. That's all we're doing. And our finish line is just feeling like, hey, coming into a window like not like if this team's healthy, like hey, we got a chance to be a really good team this year. That's what we're looking for, right? Not what if. I'm tired of what if. We went and give max money to 2 what if guys. That's what we did this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We're gonna go give our money and tie up 2 what ifs. Okay. Don, what can you do with him, Donnie? You know what I mean? You're stuck with PG. What are you going to do with him? I mean, again, he had a great game in the fourth quarter last night. He looked like himself. And then boom, groin. So, I mean, it is who he is. It is
back
what
to
it
the
is.
podcast. Back to the podcast game.
Like, Greg, this was a great offseason in terms of, like, projections, in terms of if healthy. Like I said, the sweeps earlier, this roster that Darryl put together, if healthy, is really good.
Well, we talked about it.
That's not debatable. But they're not healthy. So
we talked about right before the season that exact point, right?
But then 2K. If this is 2K, this roster's awesome. If this is NBA 2K injuries off, roster's awesome. But it's not. It's not that.
Don, the Pistons are good again, and you got a lot of questions. You got a lot of questions. The Pistons are back. Now you got a lot of questions, right?
Donnie's been in a dark corner for a while.
Nothing Eagles.
I was going to say you were stuck in your thumb for a couple weeks there. I get it, buddy. It was devastating. It's a devastating loss to the Redskins. It was great to see you, Don. We love you, buddy.
We missed it, Donnie.
Kate, Craig hit on that. We fucking miss you, buddy. And Kate Cunningham is a fucking star, an absolute star.
I think that'd be bad. Like to me, I think Nick Nurse and this staff's a good staff. I'm not putting this shit on that, man. Like I do think that's a good staff here.
A little bit. I'm not saying they got to fire him, but like we talked about it before about the defense has been atrocious. There's no reason for that. You know what I mean? He was a defensive guy or is a defensive guy. And, there's no excuse for that. We can lose because of injury and guys coming up small and all that good stuff, but we shouldn't not be who we are. That should be a pillar. That's always been a pillar of who he was, his team,
No,
I'm not gonna say anything like that. I'm just gonna say, like, I don't think the reason we've stunk this bad is Nick, and I don't think a different coach is gonna change that trajectory. What changed that trajectory is obviously a pick, players' health, etc. Because this is what we'd be with anybody. We get Rajon Rondo, we could have fucking the Red R back on the staff right now. We're not. We are who we are right now. We are who we are. And I agree with you. I mean, the defense could be better, but is that again? They're just changing hands all the time because that's what this roster's been the entire fucking year. I mean, it's sad. I mean, night in, night out, you got. I mean, how many different starting lineups have they had? I mean, they got to lead the NBA in starting lineups. They almost have to.
No, and like I said, I'm not listening.
Not that he's blameless. He's not blameless.
No, I'm not going to
We're not going to get a statue built.
I'm not going to kill the guy. You know what I mean? Like I get it. We coach. We understand how things work. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, especially we coach amateur guys. You know what I mean? It would be really, really fun and delicious to coach something where you have all the free time in the world. You know what I mean? There's no school, there's no other things to do. And I understand, pros are divas. I get that. All right. I'm saying is, and I understand what Tommy's saying, the turnover. I get, the turnover of the roster, all that stuff. I'm saying if the way I look at myself in the mirror, like if my core is being violated or who I am is crumbling, by the wayside, then I'm grabbing 8 G League guys, and we're not winning, all right? And we might not be able to score the ball, right? But they're going to play defense because you can teach defense because it's 1-2 and passion, and you know what I mean. So you can teach or you can make guys play defense, right? With the dangle and the carrot, you know what I mean. So I understand it's an outrageous proposal there. I'm just saying the way if the ship's going down, I'm going down the way my ship's going down. You understand? So we're gonna lose. We'll lose freaking 65-60. Right, because we can't score because I got G League guys, but they're palmsy. They're gonna be palmsy, and they're gonna rebound, and they're gonna do all the little things. I don't know. Like I said, it's easier said than done. I'm not, I'm not gonna kill the guy for the season. I don't like where we are defensively. I think that's been an absolute
I'm just a bigger fish to fry. Right, when I look at everything that's happened with the Sixers this year, I got bigger fish to fry than the coach. And not saying that he deserves a pass because you're right. You give me 365 to get a team better. We're gonna be better. You know what I mean? Or you give me a week to do whatever. Like you said, the free time in the world to focus just on that. Oh yeah, of course, right. All right, shifting gears a little bit. The football, obviously, Marshall brings this up. Debo in Washington, they get another running back over there. So I mean, that's nice. I mean, I'm not worried about. Again, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about in-house.
Never been a Debo guy. Even without the comments, I just think he's a gadget, a cute gadget that gets injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a spinny wheel.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything. He never moved the needle for me.
It is funny to see like Washington fans now puffing their chest like, we traded Dotson for a third. We got Debo for a fifth. Well, yeah, look at the contracts and look how the year ended up. So we won.
We just whooped your ass. Do you think Debo makes a difference in that game? I'll answer it. No. I mean, listen, I ain't scared of no fucking ghost with a defense like this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to walk around scared with a secondary like this. And you went out and got another running back anyway. So, to me, it doesn't – listen, if he's healthy, he's a good player. He's physical, but he doesn't – like Sweep said, he doesn't do anything for me. Never has. There was times where, when he was a little bit younger, he was really good at being that Swiss Army knife and doing a little bit of everything for you. And Kyle
Shanahan's an offensive guy, so he found a role for him. He found a cute little role for him. You know what I mean? The dude's not going to run routes for you. You know what I mean? Like he's not. Like I said, he's going to run a reverse. He's gonna take it in the Wildcat. He's gonna go across the middle, get drilled, and be out for 6 weeks. You know what I mean? So,
Washington better figure out their defense. Before they get ran wild on again. So. That's all I'm going to say about the Commanders. I ain't worried about I ain't worried about Dan Quinn, coach football team, just like I wasn't worried about a Kyle Shanahan, coach football team, because they're both responsible for being the biggest losers in the biggest stage of all time. So again, I'm never going to worry about that. Will they have good football teams? Absolutely, because they're both really good coaches. So nobody's debating that. But when you're a part of that, that's like getting the process stench off you. Here for the Sixers, you can't get it all.
It's unwashable.
There's nothing. You went freaking the whole box of Tide Pods.
That's Seinfeld. That's Seinfeld. BBO. That's BBO. The car's ruined. You leave it there to get stolen. That's it. Who wants the keys? Keys are in it.
You're gonna think that way. But that's what it is. So I'm not ever going to worry about what happens in Washington, just like I don't worry about what happens in Dallas as long as Jerry Jones is around. There's certain places I just don't. Not that they can't have good years. Nobody's saying that, right? But I don't overly worried. I'm not overly worried. If we're healthy like we were this year, 21 starters in the Super Bowl, I ain't scared of nobody.
What an insane stat.
Yeah, it's not going to happen again, probably.
No.
But good to talk about now.
Yeah.
Because we always say if healthy. So it finally worked out for her. It's like, 21 out of 22. And the only guy was Nakobe, who went down this a couple weeks prior. So it's sort of amazing, and credit to keeping your guys healthy. Organization, the whole list of the medical team and everybody that gets to work. Everybody gets to work and gets after those guys in there. Credit to them because
the game's played on the field. So I mean, they can keep talking their shit. Debo does nothing. Now because they're okay on that side of the ball. You know what I mean? They signed Myles Garrett. Then you might say, now you got my interest as an Eagle fan. Now you got me looking out the blinds. Okay. Before I was just watching TV. All right, now you got me looking out the blinds. All right, Garrett's in town. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, if we get them, they should close their blinds and lock all the windows and doors.
The NFL probably should just fucking forfeit next year.
Well, the other one is the Bengals cat.
Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, because
I didn't hear those rumors. They're interesting.
Rumors started coming out now because in reality they're not looking like they're going to lock any of their guys up right now. They're definitely on the 8 ball, which is definitely a Bengal thing, and why they're a poorly run organization.
Sure,
because those 3 guys you can build around for sure. They just haven't. But that being said, they were talking like that's a guy you could go get if Myles Garrett isn't a guy, and what would you give up for Myles Garrett?
I know how bad I know how. Yeah, you're right. I know how poorly run they've been, but when you got a generational quarterback, you got to do everything in your power. You know what I mean? And I know they just traditionally haven't done it, but that's a good way to get a guy to, retire real quick. Pull Barry Sanders. You know what I mean? Like, you got a guy like that. You gotta
How's Higgins?
You gotta keep giving
Chase.
You got to give him an opportunity.
Immediately.
Yeah, you got to give him an opportunity. Absolutely.
Immediately, like sign immediately. Like sign, like, hey, you know what? We're not going to get the. We're not allowed to tamper, but we're just going to get this done now. Appreciate you, because that's how sure we are of this. But in terms of the Eagles, you give up 2 firsts, Greg.
Yes.
All right.
And try and throw. And again, I'm not. Cleveland doesn't want him, right? But try and throw Bryce Huff in the deal for the money.
Yeah, you have to.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a matter of like, oh, we traded Bryce Huff for Myles Garrett. No, that's why we're giving 2 firsts.
I'll give 2 firsts and a third if they take
shit.
off.
Even I'll give a 3rd first. You know what I mean? Like, but because what obviously being facetious about that, right? But 2 is legit. I'll give 2 legit because you look at our offense.
You don't need anything in the draft. You know
exactly.
I hate to say that, but I feel like they're built.
We have one spot potentially on offense.
Yeah,
right. We have one spot.
This is another 5-year window. You know what I mean? Will they be the Phillies or will they be the Eagles? We'll see.
I'm trying to go win another one, so I'm going to go get another player that's great in a bad spot, and knowing that he's part of what was ranked the #1 defense in football too, and he's a game wrecker. And you put him on a line with Jalen Carter, that's a fucking problem. That is a problem. You want to whoop asses? I don't even need to rotate guys in because those guys play every snap and they still whoop your ass. And it's a guy who wants to be here too. He wants to win. He's 28 years old. It's not like he's 32 years old. There's a lot of left in that tank.
Yeah, and then you don't have to. Yeah, and then you don't have to really, then you don't have to really sign anybody on offense anymore because you just got to get to 12 points and you win 12-4. You win 12-3. I mean that's reality.
I mean him, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, and Nolan Smith are a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, a big time problem. Now, the only problem you run into is contracts coming up, right? But then again, you got to draft well. But that's why I won't give up more than 2 firsts because I need the others. I need those 2nd round picks. I need those picks because I gotta still replenish over this 5-year window too, in a way, because I'm going to lose guys, especially if I win. Now, would I rather overpay for Josh Sweat or pay the right money or pay the right money for Myles Garrett? Right? I'll pay the right money.
And when you're a winning organization, the chance of the Eagles not picking 28 to 32 every these next 5 years is very slim.
Yeah,
very slim. So of course you're going to get good players at 28 to 32. No shit. I'm saying they're not going to be. They're not in the top 10 anymore. Yeah. Right? Dorothy, you're not in the top 10 anymore, Dorothy. So what the hell's the big deal?
Well, the last time we won the Super Bowl, right? We had that 32 pick naturally, and we traded that, and that was Lamar. So there's not even a guarantee that Howie keeps the pick anyway. So to your point, Tommy, right? Why instead of overpaying Josh Sweat, who played really well this year, right? Overpaying Milton Williams, who played really well this year.
Oh, 2 years in a row. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 2 years. Yep. When the draft is this deep of D tackle and D line help, and then you could go out and get the best defender in football, or maybe number 2 to Zach Vaughn. I think you do that, right? You do that as opposed to those other 2.
Well, you're probably not bringing Zach Vaughn back if you go out and trade for Myles Garrett too.
You can, and that's where it's going to get tough because Nakobe's out most likely for all year. Oren Burks is also a free agent. So your roster right now is Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Dean's going to miss the whole year?
Most likely. I mean, big part of it. He won't be back for opening day.
Well, we don't know that yet. Right. I mean, he's on the rehab tour of it now. So
yeah, I mean, it's not official, but they didn't think it was going to be because of when it happened, right? It happened in the playoffs.
Yeah, you would.
Well, that's why I was saying he's out for the whole year. That's just where I was surprised.
Probably a year long.
I figured he'd start on the IR.
Yeah, but even if he comes back, he's going to be a shell of himself right away. You know what I mean? That injury is a 2-year back to normal.
Yeah, but again, I don't know if he can sign everybody, right? So that's
I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, if Zach Vaughn wants to come back for a little bit less money to be a part of a winner,
prove it. Hey, prove it.
Yeah, prove it, because I'm not willing to sign him the Miles Garrett type money anyway. So if you ask me who I'd rather
It was
have,
a great story.
I'll let
It was a great story.
Sweat Williams and Bond can all go for Miles Garrett. But in
I
my
mean,
eyes, they can, because
no, absolutely. Like I said, it was a great story, from special teams to star, and he could easily have been the defensive player of the year. Absolutely. So there was, you take nothing away from that young man. But it's not Ray Lewis, all right, and he's got to do it for multiple years too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to
that's
be
why I can't give him the bag yet.
to be.
I can give him a
just to
3-year
say, hey, this
deal.
guy's a dude. You know what I mean?
I can give him a 3-year deal, $10 million a year. You know what I mean? I got no problem giving him that.
I think
kind
it's
of money,
fair too. I don't think
he's
anyone's
earned
giving
that.
more than that.
He's earned that, but I'm not giving him like a 5-year deal worth $15 million a year. Like he's the best linebacker in football.
No,
I mean, I just can't go do that, because if he becomes not the best linebacker in football, I'm in a whole hell of a lot of trouble.
if he reverts back to the Saints, then we're SOL. Yeah, I just think he's such a priority to me, just because of the depth there now as we head into the new year. You know what I mean? With N'Kobe's injury, even if he is back, he's going to be a shell of himself. And then Trotter, and that's all you have right now. I mean, you have Trotter and Dean. That's all you have.
From an organization that's never really valued that position too.
For sure.
Listen, it's a hard guy to let walk. But if you put a gun to my head, I might take Becton over him. Look, if you put a gun to my head, who would I rather have back? I might almost take Becton over him, because of the money that I'll be able to sign him for, and because his offensive line was the best in football with him. And why would I want to, like Will said, when the last time he was on 7 months ago, why would you want to break that kind of chemistry up front too? Because they were that good. Now, is Steve good?
Right,
yeah, he's good. And is that one good? Great at what he does? Yeah.
That's the only reason I would play devil's advocate, is the guy doesn't walk on water, but essentially does when it comes to offensive linemen. So you don't want to devalue the talent of these guys. The guys that the Eagles have are very talented, right? And the schemes and that Stoutland, what he does with guys is amazing. You know what I mean? So that would be the only reason I would say you can walk from that dude and keep, like Greg said, keep a position of need. Not that offensive line isn't of need. You know what I mean? But I feel they're more likely to plug and play on the offensive line than at linebacker.
Oh yeah, Bond's more important because you don't have anything.
Yeah.
That's without free agency, and obviously there's guys you could bring in and you could replace that, just like you did this past year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I mean that's essentially replaceable. I think this all comes down to the money, because again, I'm not overpaying them for one great year. Give me 2 great years. I'll put a ton of bonuses in your contract. Because if you go hit those types of years, you'll get paid for it. You know what I mean? That's why bonuses are great. Great part of deals. But I'm not ready to go give him walking on water money yet, because I think Milton Williams essentially has had more proof in his success, and so is Josh Sweat essentially. I mean, Josh Sweat has proved it more than any of those guys on the roster that are those 4 bigger free agents. He just has, and I'm not even a big Sweat guy, but he's proven he's got the ability to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, so, he definitely has.
And I'll go let somebody overpay his ass because he's not worth it, even without Myles Garrett, because I still believe that I know how they feel about their lines, and they'll always bring guys in.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll never leave that stone unturned. So to that point, that's where I am with you though. Is Bourne is probably that number 1 guy that you probably do need to bring back. Number 1, because of the need of the position and how well they do draft up front, not only on the defensive line, but on the offensive line as well.
Yeah. And, and like we were talking about, Steen's a 2nd, 3rd round pick, right? It's not like he's a schmuck, so yeah, I mean, I understand, your point about Becton and the offensive line, but we have a guy sitting there, and this is, as that cycle turns, this is his turn, because same thing that happened to Sayamalo, right? Like Sayamalo got the bag, so go ahead. But he hasn't been good since then.
No, you're right. Unless a guy wants to come back for pennies, or undervalue, then I'm right with you though, Greg, on this situation. Like, because just you don't have anything. You don't have anything at the linebacker position.
Yeah.
N'Kobe was healthy all year. They don't pay him. If N'Kobe was healthy all year, they don't. If N'Kobe never got hurt, they don't pay Bourne.
Probably. Yep.
They don't pay him. I can tell you right now, they don't pay him.
Yeah, of course.
Now they're that's talking to team docs. That's finding out what his status looks like. That's a lot of that kind of, and then talking to his agent, because again, if they're gonna expect top 5 linebacker money in football, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. That's what I say. Okay, I'll pivot. I'll bring Williams back, and I'll bring Becton back. And I'll lose the linebacker, and I'll say, okay, now I got it. Now I got to find one in the draft.
Next man up.
Right, and Troutter's going to have to play, and we're not going to be as good there. But okay, we're going to keep a lot of this line intact, though, too.
It is crazy, though. Like, the 2 years, obviously, we won. We've had really good linebackers. And yet, every other year that we don't win, our linebackers, as Sweep said, are just overlooked. Just the position's overlooked. But when we do hit and we have a really good group of guys back there, we won both times.
And I don't think that's a guy they want to lose either. But
and I think Greg Miller's spot on as well. So I don't think any of us are disagreeing or even throwing any shade at him. It's just reality. It's the nature of the business. The same way you lose coordinators, you lose free agents. You can't sign everybody. And then especially if an agent wants to be a hog and decide, hey, listen, I gotta, it's his job to get his client paid. I get all that. I know it's a business. I'm just saying, you got a chance to stay part of, the best defense in football, right? If you're not asking for too much, I don't know what he's asking for. You know what I mean? But I think you got to prove it. This is, we'll give you, like Tom said, we'll give you some incentives. We'll pack it with all kinds of stuff. You get defensive player of the year. It's $1 million bonus. $1 million bonus, man. Almost had it this year, buddy. Almost had it this year. Yeah. So, if you run it back, if you run it back again, buddy.
Yeah.
NFC title game, you get $500,000. You win an NFC title game, you get another whatever. You break it all.
That's where Howie's so good with the bonuses and stuff like that, right? He's gonna front load you with a signing bonus, and then your contract's gonna be $2 million a year.
Yeah. Josh, I don't include a young player for Garrett. That's why they get the first. Right. So that's why instead of giving them 1 first, I'm giving them 2. And maybe even like a 4th round pick as well.
Yeah, because you want to keep the proven young guys that you have.
Yeah,
the draft is a crapshoot. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, like
they're up against the wall. He doesn't want to be there. So when a player verbally says he doesn't want to be somewhere, and everybody knows that they got to deal him, well, you're not going to get as much. Like I don't even think you need to give him 2 firsts. I could give him a 1st and 2 thirds and like a 5th, and that deal's done. That deal's done right now.
Well, I'm just saying 2 firsts to make sure no one else is in the building.
Oh yeah, but I'll just give you more picks because what do you got? You're in trouble now. The 2 firsts will sell an organization because they can say, okay, we're a Jalen Hurts injury away from that being a pick we want, right? Or is really valuable.
Yeah.
But anything in the first round is valuable because that's trade ups. That's all kinds of things you can do with that, and that's talent, especially when you have a guy who doesn't want to be there anymore, and you're paying him a ton of money. So it's not like he's under contract for a while. So it's not like you're taking on a shit ton of money in this deal as well, organizationally. So that's why you almost have to give up 2 first round picks because you have to shed some of that money coming in. You know what I mean? With those picks, not that they make a lot of money, but it's still, that's where you need to give up half. So it's almost like, hey, I'll give you 2 firsts, a 3rd, and a 5th, right? But you got to take on Bryce Huff and that money. I mean, we got instead of eating some of his money, you got to eat some of our money for us to be able to do this deal. Because then, that really straps him up unless all of a sudden Huff decides he can play, which will be fun.
Yep, I hear you. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason. Because, you're trying to, like you said, Howie does what he does. So, he'll figure it out. But, you move the chess pieces around, see who you can fit in, and then see what you can do. He's always good for an outside move. So, I'm sure he's already been on the phone, and we'll see what the Browns want to do. You know what I mean? Because I got to imagine that I know what Tommy's saying. But the only reason I disagree with Tommy about the leverage is because other teams, and I'm not saying other teams have the capability of doing it. I'm saying other teams know that this is the final death blow. If he goes to the Eagles, it's bye-bye. It's bye-bye for a long time. You're playing for silver, okay? You're playing for silver. So I imagine that everybody says, listen, when the Sixers come in, please, can you give me a call? Give me a call. As soon as Howie, you hang out with Howie, please come back to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I got
Give me a chance to beat it.
I got
Joe Sheen tried that too.
That's a dorky thing. That's a dorky thing to see. No, I thought the same thing. As I was saying that, I thought it was Joe Sheen. What a dorky thing to fucking say. Hey, Saquon, you promise me you'll come back?
Yeah, come on back. There you go.
Guy couldn't get out of the building quick enough. Couldn't hang up quick enough. But I hear you. I mean, so that's the only thing I would say. That doesn't mean that, that they have any leverage. It just means I got to imagine the rest of the league is saying, hey, we cannot allow this. If we have it, I'm not talking about collusion. I'm talking about so some of us have to find a way to keep this from, being.
You're calling 30. You're calling 30 other GMs, not Howie, and saying, listen, you gotta offer something more. You're calling everybody. Everybody's calling everybody because that cannot happen. I mean, that defense, Jalen Carter and Myles Garrett on the same defense is like old school, all Pro Bowl games.
I mean, we hear you. We hear you, Luke. But like we said, they're going to be in the 28 to 32 range, right? So yeah, of course you can find somebody. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying you can't. I don't think we're disagreeing. We're not disagreeing with you there. Exactly. You got a proven the guy. You got a proven absolute megastar. So you can do without 2 years of first round picks.
Yeah, this is defensive player of the year. This is a game changer. This is one guy out of 11 that can dictate a whole game. And when you put him on a line with another guy with the same capabilities, that becomes a monster nightmare for teams. You thought adding Saquon Barkley to the backfield was a monster nightmare to teams?
Yeah.
Offensively, this just puts his defense way up because you talk about, we know what the secondary is, right? We know what it is. I mean, we know what Q and Cooper and CJ and Reed, they were awesome. Awesome. And his front was awesome. But you had him up there, man, with everything in the back end.
And like I said, like we just alluded to, Luke is not. You're not wrong, Luke. Absolutely, you know what I mean. Except for Jalen Reagor, dude's been spotless. You know what I mean. So we know that. So
and since then, he's been an
it's actually factual. But when you got a chance at a generational defensive guy, you'd say, "Hey, we'll take 2 years. We're okay giving up our first round picks for 2 years."
Oh yeah, nobody's giving up this, Luke. I'm not giving up any of my players outside of a contract I don't want, like Bryce Off. And that's where I added more late round picks to try to entice them to take it for me. But yeah, I mean, Josh, I don't know. I don't think he definitely is retiring yet, though. That's not confirmed.
Slade's got one more. Slade's playing 1 more year.
Yeah, I mean,
he just understands that with the cap and salary, implications, it's probably not here. But he's playing 1 more year, and that's it.
What, here?
No, just in general. But he just understands, with being the last year of a deal, he understands that he might be a casualty of a cut because it's his last year. I think as one guy you could look to restructure and resign. But he wants to play 1 more year, and that's it.
Well, do you do that?
To Josh,
I bring it back because I think it does. Sorry, was that Sweeps?
No. Josh was saying who takes his spot. I don't. That's what he was asking.
Well, that's why I think you do it. Is because right now I don't know that you trust Keely Ringo right now on the outside. Yeah. I don't know that you trust Isaiah Rodgers on the outside.
Well, Isaiah Rodgers isn't under contract, so you have to sign him.
He's a restricted free agent. So
restricted. Okay, well, you do trust him because that's why I thought we sort of went and got him. So
Slay is under contract. It's just he has an out where we could cut him if we wanted to.
Yeah, if they cut him and save money, it would be Isaiah Rodgers then, and Kelly Ringo would be his backup.
Yeah.
So that's how that would work. And I have no problem with Rodgers if he's restricted because he's restricted, Josh. That's what Greg's saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Technically, you're right. He's not under contract.
I mean,
He's
Martian
restricted.
with Q and Cooper, I'm not against giving Ringo a chance.
No,
right?
and I know they like those young guys.
I mean, he can play.
And that secondary coach, all you hear is good things about him.
Well, this is different from this staff and Doug's, and that was my next question for you guys before we get into like Crumbs. But the difference in staffs really is the player development.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not only hitting picks, but it's not just first round picks. Like, they develop players, and you see it, and they develop them quick. Like, to get rookies on the field and rookies to be productive, yeah, they got to be good, but they got to be coached up well too, right? Just enough. Like, I'm not saying these guys are Jesus Christ and they're the greatest. They're sprinkling water on guys and they all can play. I'm just saying it's way better than what we had before, because we didn't develop any young players in that regime. We really didn't. It was all older guys that were already here before. So to get all this young talent that we've drafted and developed, a lot of these guys that were key pieces is good. It's a good prop. Good prop.
Yeah, you show up in training. You show up in
They weren't that
camp.
great last year.
You show up in training
That's
camp.
how good talent is.
Yeah, you show up in training camp and you compete, and you have a chance to play. I mean, that's it. Should be the message in every locker room. At every level.
Christian Parker is the guy's name. I wanted to make sure to get that. Christian Parker is the guy's name. Everybody you talk to, from the rookies to the veterans, they all talk about how good he is as a coach. And he's that type of guy where you don't want him to leave the building and leave the room.
Is he did he come? Is he new?
I think he came with Vic.
Vic, yeah, because a lot of his guys, and not, this isn't salt in the wound, the sweeps. This is just to those defensive guys on the Dolphins team. I mean, imagine feeling like those guys too. Like, they get left out because they weren't on Hard Knocks, right? They weren't on Hard Knocks, but they and I'm not crowning Vic, but they thought he was too hard on them, and then is that right?
Yeah,
it was too much. And one of my guys, Jalen Ramsey, who now is a pussycat to me after those comments, right? Because it's like, I don't care how good of a cover guy you are. I mean, you say those things, you go somewhere, a bunch of young guys buy in right away and win. Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Like, you just weren't on Hard Knocks for everybody to hear it. That's the only difference. Barkley gets all the pub about, Saquon Barkley. I mean, Vic Fangio changed the defense and Howie's picks, right? You can't forget about Q and Coop. They obviously changed it all. But that and Vic, we're not playing. We're not having a parade. We're not doing those things without those three things happening, right? The hiring of Vic Fangio and the drafting of those two guys. We're not having this conversation.
For sure.
We're just not.
Yep.
We're really good, and I don't know where we get knocked out at, but we're not as good. But that's how good those two rookies are. I mean, insane numbers. Like, by the numbers on what they did this year, those two, is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. Like, this is Philly. Like, this isn't stuff that happens here, guys. Like, we talk about the Sixers missing on first round picks and this, that. We don't get this lucky. And it seemed like, we got lucky one year, which is amazing. Last time we got that lucky was Lito and Sheldon. And they didn't have the impact those two guys that did year one. They didn't play because of Bobby and Troy. But you get what I'm saying. And they weren't, maybe if they did play, they would have that impact. But crazy how good those two are. And crazy how good this staff was over there.
Yeah. And Martian is right. Christian Parker and Clint Hurt have been amazing. Yeah, I mean, this dude's a monster.
Yeah, he is a monster. Well, listen, you got to be amazing to win.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody gets flowers when you win. That's the great thing about winning.
Third quarter, Greg. It wasn't until the third quarter. I went back and rewatched it. We had a Gatorade dump at 2:52 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, it's an early dump. You probably could have dumped it at halftime while you're in the locker room. You know what I mean? You could have dumped it right after the first drive. It coming out of the half.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna go
the dagger or the dagger, right?
Or the dagger. Yep. 27-0 or the dagger. You could have dumped.
Yeah.
The dagger you could have just dumped right after that.
Yeah, they had 14 yards in the first half, and one of the most dominant performances you're ever going to see. You know what I mean? Like, especially with the pieces that were, even though we know they're not an offensive juggernaut anymore. You still have Hall of Fame quarterback. You got Big Red. You got Kelsey. So I mean, there's some pieces there. And
You got Hopkins. You got Worthy.
14 yards.
Yeah.
To have 14 fucking yards is insanity. And the final score was nowhere indicative of the absolute fucking beating that they took.
Yeah.
Beating.
Did you hear what Vic did? Did you hear Jalix Hunt came out and said after like a Super Bowl prep meeting, he held the defense back and got on it for giving up 22 points?
Yep. I love it. They're about to go get hammered, which they did, and they got shit on before
they got shit on.
They got reamed out for giving up 22. Like, you probably should have shut these guys out, guys. But no, like, we talk about that offense and we talk about going in, and they weren't the same, but they did still have DeAndre Hopkins, who's not the same, but still good.
Still a weapon.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy, weapon.
And it's a Super Bowl, right? DeAndre Hopkins has played a long time to play in a Super Bowl.
And have that opportunity. Xavier Worthy was a first-round pick for a reason, right?
Drop the ball wide open.
Oh, my God.
Right? So, I mean,
that's probably when the Gatorade dump could have happened. Should have happened.
It's not like he came into a game with zero weapons either. The Hall of Fame quarterback came in with some weapons. Not as
Hall
much
of Fame tight end, Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Yeah, so
DeAndre probably goes in at some point.
Yeah, they just got their ass whooped up front because we knew their offensive line was not as good as our defensive line.
Yeah,
and that was what it came down to. It didn't come down to their weapons. It came down to their offensive line was not as good.
Again, it doesn't take away from what the Eagles did, or how good they were the best team in football since week 9, and they had the best defense in football. So nobody maybe expected that kind of dominance on the big stage. But I don't think anybody. I told you guys, I don't think anybody lost a wink of sleep worrying about the Chiefs' offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just not a shot at the Eagles. It has nothing to do, with the Eagles. Doesn't take away.
No, but that's what great teams do.
Doesn't take away from that performance. You know what I mean? It just
nobody did that to them all year either. Like, that's the crazy part. Like, they weren't as good as they were years past, but and they had bad games, but nobody made them look that bad. I mean, they look like. I mean, Patrick Mahomes looked like a rookie. It was a different type of beating, and that's what greatness does. You can be a shell of yourself, but don't let. He's great over there too. So if you let him hang in and you let him play around, so that goes to the Eagles' greatness. So it's not a shot because they're not as good as we all knew they weren't as good. That's why I said at Cass's birthday, I ain't worried at all. Everybody kept asking me, "What are you worried about? What are you worried about? We're hunting. Like, we got hunters. I mean, this is the best defense I've ever seen here. What are we worried about?"
Yeah.
The biggest worry was Jaden Daniels because the way he extends stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how elusive he is. And that's why I love Myles Garrett, because that shit would end real quick. I mean, that's another reason for that.
Yeah, the Rams was the scariest game.
Well, Rams too.
Even before the outcome. But once the snow came,
No, I meant like in terms of like through the playoffs when we were talking, like before it started, we were like, man, obviously fires worried me. The fires, and then the fires, we escaped that. We escaped that blaze in the snow, and then we got what worried me a little bit was him, right? Because he just worried me because of his ability to extend stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Which he did.
We just weren't good enough defensively. Again, that's another game where you didn't have to worry about anything. So. Yeah, but you're right. From that offensive standpoint, he was definitely capable of putting up 24 to 28, and that's what they did. You know what I mean? But again, the game was out of reach, when they scored, when they got over 20. I think they scored a late touchdown to give them 24. That game was over as well. So
I like just call it, Martian. I like just call it better. Just call it.
Yeah, it's tough because both were obviously so iconic of plays.
Yeah, I mean, I like the balls of in that moment it's a lot easier to call that play, but I like the mocks of being like, call it, game over. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I also love Philly because that's iconic, and that's a fucking reverse and QB's catching
so much.
Ball.
So many moving parts in that play.
There's so much. Like, that's a movie. But in terms of just like the football of it, I love hearing call that. Let's fucking
just call. Just call.
And this shit.
That is pretty badass.
But no, I mean, they're both great. I don't think you can really rank them. It's not fair.
It's amazing. It's amazing with, it's become an offensive league and offensive driven league, and it just is really is.
It was 1986.
It really is
rushing. What was it? The running back the leader in rush yards out of the running back, right? And have number 1 overall defense, win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I wasn't going to go there. I was just going to say, like, in this day and age, with being an
Isn't that
offensive,
crazy?
being
Isn't
an
that crazy?
offensive league, and everybody, such in love with the offense, and we know. But the Eagles 2 Super Bowls, not this one, because there was no need for a big play, because the game was over after the fucking coin toss. You know what I mean? Game, so there was no need there. I'm saying Eagles 2 Super Bowls in the last 5, 6 years, 7 years. BG obviously won it, and Jalen Carter against the Rams. You know what I mean? So in an offensive, we live in an offensive world, but the Eagles were able to cut down the nets with 2 defensive plays. Amazing.
Yeah.
And all the other factors. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Or Coops pick, right? I mean, so you can say defensive plays all around. It was defensive plays that win. Defense wins. And it's crazy to think this is the first team since 1986, right, to actually lead the league in rushing, or 1985. It might have been the Bears to lead the league and have the leader rush yards for running back and have the number 1 overall defense actually win the whole thing, which is insane, because it just makes the point that running backs, I don't want to say do matter, but they do. The running game matters, but great defenses matter. Like we talked about, we said this defense could travel anywhere. You want to travel to Louisiana? You want to travel?
It's sweet.
You want to travel to fucking Brazil? Where do you want to travel to? They went to Brazil. We'll travel to Australia next year. This defense will travel anywhere. So we knew that. And
did Walter not lead the league in rushing that year?
I guess he did, right?
No. I was just asking.
No, because 1985, I think it was, or 86.
Yeah.
It was the Bears' year, I believe.
Yeah, 85.
Yeah. So it was that year, I believe. But that's what I could have swore I saw that stat, which is absurd. And if anybody can confirm that, I know it's true. I just don't know the exact of it. Yeah. But that just shows you how important and how great that duo was. Like when we talk about 85 Bears and we say it jokingly, like I'm not saying this defense was that, but in modern football, it's close to it, right? In modern football, where you're not allowed to beat up as much as you were, this defense put a whooping, and it was embarrassing. And that's what the Bears did in that Super Bowl too.
Yeah, it might have been since 2000, because I didn't Jamal Lewis run for 2,000 yards, so it might have been. It seems to be the recipe. So I mean, 2,000 is a long time too. So either way, it hasn't happened a lot.
It doesn't happen a lot. Yeah,
to your point.
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to debunk it. I was just thinking.
No, debunk away, because I don't know.
Might have been the year. That might have been the year that Jamal ran for 2.
But we know it definitely hasn't happened in the last decade or two. I can confirm that with you, because the running game hasn't been as important.
No,
it hasn't been a factor. And defenses, there's been really great defenses that have cycled through, but the running game might not have been, have the best running back in football.
Tough to have both.
And listen, they do, but it's great. You guys want to get in the crumbs? You got anything else, Eagles?
Oh, just real quick, a name to watch out for as we get into the draft. Harold Fannin, tight end from Bowling Green. Obviously, Eagles just hired their head coach for the QB job.
Yeah, he was the best tight end. Well, besides our boy Warren. Besides Warren.
That's why.
Besides Warren. Yeah, Warren's.
Wow,
Warren's
look at you connected. Look at you connect the dots. Connect the dots. Greg, look at you.
Yeah,
he's a big.
So just a name to look out for, right? Because we're in that realm where we got to decide what we're doing, right? With Dallas. So I'm not saying we're getting rid of them, but they always take a tight end. Right?
Either way, you need one. You need one anyway, and you need one that's a 2-way that can block and catch the football. So that's a great.
Don't know how good he is blocking, but he can definitely catch the football.
It's better than Calcaterra.
I would agree.
Yeah, if you're better in Grand Calcaterra, you can play.
Yeah, Eagles just hired their coach Scott LaFleur. Talk about
Peter.
Talk about being. Talk about being down, right? I mean, you leave a Bowling Green, right? But you leave a head coaching job at the collegiate level to go be a QB coach in the NFL. Now,
that's a step to be an offensive coordinator, and
not a terrible step to jump to with Jalen Hurts in this offense, right? But it's just funny because you're seeing more of that. Is my point, right? The Packers defensive coordinator was the BC head coach up until week 1.
Because that guy doesn't like the inconsistency of the portal.
Yeah.
And he wants consistency. To come to Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts says, I want consistency in my life.
For sure.
Right. And if I want an offensive coordinator job down the road or whatever, head coaching job, but maybe it's a guy who comes here and that guy can be here for a minute. And hopefully our new offensive coordinator, who I like that it's in-house. I like it's been a guy who's been part of staff since 2021. I mean, I don't mind hiring within and keeping that consistency at least, right? But we'll see, dude. I mean, we have great players, so
we sure do.
Crumb of the week.
I thought I had one.
My crumb is outside the sports world. It's people traveling. It's the what the frig word am I trying to? The arrogance and the self entitlement that people think that they have when traveling. Like they just can do whatever they want, and flight attendants mean nothing, and it's just a disaster. The traveling experience now. I mean, my sister was on a flight, and they were delayed yesterday because 2 dudes got into a fight on a plane.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
That's why you won't see me on one.
And I'm on a flight Saturday, and I got kids because we're going to Orlando. It's spring, right? March. Good job, Greg.
That's on you.
Kids screaming all over the place. I'm back further than I normally am. Row 24, kids all over the place. Person behind me throwing up as we land. Like, what is going on here? Can we lock in one time and just have a smooth flight? So yeah, I mean, it's a self entitlement of people traveling that they get everything they get. It's even worse on the discount airlines when you're paying $37 for a ticket.
You get what you pay for. Yeah,
just sit down and shut up, will you?
You get what you pay for.
100%.
Yeah. So Greg hates kids. That's what we confirmed tonight.
We'll shift gears from that. So we'll go. I'll go anti-Crumb. Clemson baseball. I think you guys saw that. Veterans in the stands, and
it was awesome.
They announced, any veterans stand up, and then all the players leave the dugout and shake hands and talk and go around the stands. Proud to be an Americans fan. Just awesome, really awesome. Kudos to Clemson baseball in this day and age of, like Greg said, self entitlement and maybe not kids crying on a plane, but definitely a lot of crumbs walking the planet.
Yes, for sure.
A great story out of Clemson.
Yeah, just circle back on the original topic. It's the way the whole knee injury was handled from the beginning. You have a playoff loss like that against a rival, and maybe go get something done. Then we don't. We play in the Olympics. We win a gold medal, and it just seemed from the start of the season on that they didn't believe he was going to play a lot, and it was a problem. And it was as a tease. And I feel bad for the people who had season tickets and those types of different things. I mean, you should know better with this organization, but still, that's just it could have been handled. We could have been ahead of the game, right? In terms of what the outcome was going to look like. We could be ahead if we were going to talk about trading them, after the outcome. There'd be so many more things that we'd have answers to, and we would just be ahead. But this organization's got a lot of stuff wrong from the beginning. So it's been agree, disagree. HED Radio.
Yeah, real quick. Sorry. I'm just going to, because I don't want to leave him out. Crumb is Dak Prescott. We're near the Eagles, right, buddy? I think it was a couple weeks ago, so I think we were off last week and might have forgot about him the week prior to that. You're nowhere near the Eagles. Knock it off. All right, you're a loser. You're a loser.
You just lost your best offensive player.
Yeah. Imagine
close to the Eagles.
Imagine saying that. Imagine.
Marsha, good call. Good call in the NBA All-Star, too. That's another good one. Because that Four Nations was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Anti-Crumb.
Yes.
That was amazing. Another anti-Crumb. All right, we're out of here. See you guys next week. Agree, disagree. We're going to start talking Phil soon. Let's go. We're out.